Welcome to the show, everyone. It's the Crypto Lark coming at you from Token 2049 here in Hong Kong. Today I got to sit down with Chris C. He is the founding director of Cardstack. Chris, welcome.
Nice to be here.
Now, I recently did an ICO review on Cardstack, so if anybody wants some really in-depth information about it, go and check it out. But what is the elevator pitch? What are you guys trying to do?
Cardstack is trying to build the experience layer of the decentralized internet, which is to say that the user experience of decentralized technology has not gotten to a point where people can understand well enough to actually participate. Even they read about it in the press, they just, when they arrive, they may see some centralized exchanges like Coinbase, and beyond that is just a cliff. And you know,
that's a good way to describe it.
It's just right? And what we see is that actually to be able to build this experience layer is not just better UI or better, getting more designer involved. I call that beautifying the cryptography. But you're still exposing the internals, right? And I think the reason why it's necessary to build this experience layer is simple. One, we need more users, we need more usage, we need real business value being brought into it to really substantiate the value of this potential system. But more importantly, we can't exclude people just because the tools have not been thought through.
Yeah.
And then so we have to meet the users what they expect. And by the way, this is post App Store, post iOS, post Android. People expect really easy to do stuff. They have onboarding steps. But there's actually a bigger challenge in that, not just about prettier UI, is that a lot of the crypto teams are still led by technical founders. If we're using an analogy of cars, then the people would design a new type of engine.
Yeah.
Like electric engine, rotary engine, and they want you to see that engine. They want to kind of hold in the hood. People are like, can you see the beautifulness of my creation?
And now sit on the engine.
Exactly. And please sit on an engine and please touch it and see how it throbs. The problem of that is that the designer are not given the freedom to do this one thing. Maybe we should cover it all up and then put a cup holder and a steering wheel and a start-stop button, to which your boss, who is worried now and going to give talk, is like, how can you hide my beautiful work? So I am the sacrilegious person who says, I think we should cover up all these things and decide what the user really needs, and also what the technology stack really needs. Because once you start from the orientation of the user down, what you realize that, layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, actually the user is layer 10. They need a lot more between how they get on RAM, what is the first step, the second step, and third step. Can you cut that down to 0 step?
Yeah.
They need scalability, because if you get 1 million users, you have 1 million users. So there's a lot of problem to be solved, and we feel like Cardstack, again, we are Stack, we see that there's just enough things to be solved together that maybe if we build a cohesive vision and a team that's focus on delivering that value immediately, and then solving the user experience problem, the developer experience problem, and a little bit of the scalability problem, especially sitting on top of well-proven blockchain like Ethereum, which is what we're ERC20 based project. How can we use Ethereum without inundating it with the transaction volume if we get it? So it's a double-edged sword, right? So that's kind of what we're trying to do, a multi-stack, multi-layer project with the focus of getting something delivered to end user within the next 6 months, 12 months, and then making it so it seems seamless and it seems very familiar to people who are used to what tech has already brought in the last 10 years.
That's it. That's such an important point to bring up, because most people use the internet, and again, they're driving the car, they don't know how the engine works, they don't know how the fuel's made, but they just know that they can get it and go.
Yes.
And this is kind of what you guys want to deliver, is that get it and go kind of experience for blockchain.
Absolutely. Which
is amazing. And it's exactly, I think, what we need in this space. Now, it's a very persuasive argument, but how do you actually get user adoption? So what is your strategy to say, hey people, come check this out?
Absolutely. And I think one of which is you have to meet people where they are, right? So the fancy term we call it is called progressive decentralization. Now, not because we couldn't decentralize today, Bitcoin is about as decentralized as you can get, and it works. It's that to meet user where they expect. I expect to go to a URL and see something. I expect to go download an app and have something. We need to be able to meet them there. But we can't cheat. We can't say, because of that, we're going to build a centralized app and here's a centralized front end, beautiful experience, Coinbase for the rest of your life. And then that becomes a single choke point, and then erode the principle. So you need to be principled about decentralization. So you have to design the stack in a way that can be and ought to be and cannot help but be decentralized. So open protocol, open source, token mechanism, organizing work. But then you have to then deliver. But if you just want to go to a website, www.cardstack.com, or we have a project called Cardspace, which allows you to host Cardstack out similar to Blogspot or something like hosting blogs. Start there. But when you get comfortable and say, you know what, this application I'm running, my own crypto accounting system or a portfolio tracker, I really don't want to trust anybody to host it for me. Can I bring it to my computer? Yes. Actually, it's the same code. Cardstack is built in a way that can be deployed to the cloud, so you can meet the user where they are, and can be run completely on the desktop. And it's like, that's crazy. Then you realize an engineer at Uber runs Uber on his desktop, right? Developers run the whole stack on the desktop. So we just went ahead and said, hey, we're developers. I have a computer science degree, but I've been working in technology, both in big company and startup, for 10, 20 years. And what I've learned is that developers are peer-to-peer. When they run the entire application that they deploy the next day on their computer, they are in control and they're sovereign. They have their own database in it. So we just say, you know what? We just use the stuff that has already been done for developers with Docker, modules like Node, NPM. So we just essentially build an open source framework. Again, open source so that if somehow we turn evil, just fork it and do it yourself. But the way we can get people to work together and say, hey, by the way, yes, you can run it yourself, but you're still participating in this token economics, this network. And that's where the blockchain and Ethereum brings people together, regardless of whether you're doing some work entirely on your own. This is my storage and my data. Or I have a personal cloud. Here's my own cloud address running in Switzerland or something like that. You can deploy Cardstack there. Or you say, you know what, I just want it on some website that's hosted by, a Cardstack affiliated organization, Cardspace. Or it could be, I'm an enterprise. I need to run my own cloud within my own Azure, or Microsoft, or IBM environment. We want to support all of that. And that's just supporting cloud deployment. And so a lot of, I think, the solution that we need to make blockchain usable already exists in the centralized world. But the same way that some of the Silicon Valley people have a blind spot towards blockchain, I think blockchain people have a blind spot towards the amazing richness of open source tools that the superpower has given away. But if we can organize those things around the principle of decentralization, then we can really shortcut the process of those usable applications, because frankly, they're already there. Just have to pick it up, combine it, but orchestrate and build together in a way that can be decentralized when the user's like, yeah, I'm past level 1, I'm ready for the next thing. Okay, plug in a key, and then we transfer some wallet into your Trezor or something like that. Then suddenly they're more self-sovereign, and it's like, okay, next day I'm going to move this hosting to my own environment that I have an account directly. Then you're more sovereign. That's progressive decentralization. That's our technique to get user adoption.
That's awesome. It's kind of like, I guess, going swimming or something. I can just put my feet in and go a little farther instead of jumping straight into the deep end, right? And going, what is
like
all
a cliff,
this stuff?
like
that's it. That's it. So I really like that. Now, what's the community response been to your project, and how has the community been growing, and what are you doing to grow the community more?
Absolutely. We were entirely surprised by the speed of the growth of the community. So we were working on a lot of compliance and the structuring and the software and the thing late last year, and then it was like, oh, let's start a Telegram group in the beginning of the year, in January. And then between, I think, 10 days, we went from like 135 members to like 10,000.
Wow.
So it was explosive. And I think part of it is because we really spent a lot of time explaining the full vision, right? Crypto gets a little reductionist. This is a blockchain database, or blockchain storage, or a blockchain insurance. It's like, blockchain plus a now. And we're saying, no, this experience layer. And then people's like, what is that? So we wrote a vision paper, which is kind of like a business bestseller type of writing. We wrote a white paper with a lot of illustration, and we put that white paper into a video, just walk you through each page, all the diagram in an animated way. And the people who spend the time told their friends about it. And then that's, I think, where we got that real energy, is that it is so different than all the other projects that if you somehow took the extra 2 or 3 minutes to get in and we somehow engross you, you end up spending hours on the material. We have published a lot of stuff. So the community response has been really great. And the way I think people are asking us questions is just, how can I get involved? Like, what kind of, in our conversation with, early contributor, they say, hey, I'm strong in Australia, I have a lot of friends in Singapore, how can I help? And that's been really kind of what has driven us forward, is through these personal referral and personal connections. We're kind of a little bit of an indie project, right? Because we have this belief that this whole thing belongs to the community. A lot of ICOs are basically companies, right? But Cardstack, because we have this open source kind of angle, and even when I was a corporate R&D, I invest a lot of our organization energy in funding real indie open source projects.
Yeah.
And I learned that if you're the only player and you're the only benefactor and everybody just look up to you, might as well call it a company, right? But I think for Cardstack to really succeed, we really need a lot of people to say, what's missing in blockchain is a great way to visualize X. Let me build it on Cardstack and then get my component out there into this network. So, and then again, they will participate in the token economics, which means if their work, their software or their service get used, they get a portion of the stake pool, basically. So it's like, there's a black box of all the spend that comes from customers and the value, whether it's airdrop tokens or actually purchase tokens. They will get split on some cycle with all the people who contributed, right? And that means that we really want a lot more people participating. One way to look at it, the only way to get that initial adoption to seed the market, we have to do what Apple did, which is ship a phone, of which there's 8 apps in the first iPhone, all of them made by Apple.
Yeah.
And then in 2 years, almost none of the apps are made by Apple. And that's where the App Store happens. So I really hope to be able to build something that's useful for crypto today, and then invite the developers and designers, especially ones that doesn't know anything about blockchain, but know a lot about user experience, product development, getting adoption, and giving them a framework that initially hides the engine, the new motor engine. It's like, it's kind of similar. And then later on when they're ready, it's like, hey, by the way, the plugin that was doing this, like metering thing is actually a DPoS thing, and that one is actually bridging into a proof of lapse time thing. Yeah. So we want to make sure that Cardstack is blockchain agnostic, build something useful on top of 1 or 2 or 3, maybe 10 different type of technology, from cloud to very decentralized stuff, and let people then discover what's underneath, and when they're hooked, they're going to innovate, they're going to package, and that's where it really takes off.
That's really cool, and I know that from the people that I've talked to, the community response has been people are really excited about it. They look and see, wow, that's the kind of project that we need, and they respond to the open source nature. They respond to the just the general nature of like, let's be creative. Let's get in here and see what we can do with this. And so I know that a lot of the people I've talked to about it, they've been very excited too. So
awesome to hear.
Now, moving forward, I guess into some wider questions here. How do you see, particularly in Asia, what do you think of the opportunities? Here we are in Hong Kong, so what are the opportunities for Cardstack in Asia?
Well, I grew up about 10 minutes from here. So I grew up in Hong Kong and then moved to the US, went to school at Columbia in New York City, and haven't left since. But to me, I've always looked at the spirit of Asia to be not only extremely hardworking and productive, which is sometimes the same thing, but actually quite innovative. Maybe not at the cutting edge, but when it's ready to be done and business to be done, you can count on people that grew up with me to do the work. And I really believe that there's a little bit of hubris coming out of Silicon Valley. There's like, oh, we know everything, everything is set, we've got everybody in the right place, okay, let's sit and let our vest things or let our stock go on price. And there's people in Asia hungry to say, well, we really didn't completely participate or led in the previous revolution of the Silicon Valley Mountain View stuff. If we use crypto to give them permission to say, hey, go and build all the tools that was built in a centralized way, in a more decentralized way, and improve it a little bit, and maybe commoditize it a little bit, give it to more people, make it more easier to use, internationalize it, really understand the cultural dynamics and not just imposing one Silicon Valley libertarian motif down. I think there's going to be a lot of people who want to work on this stuff. So as much as I see Asia as a market, it's very easy. And again, as a person who's born in Hong Kong, it's like we're a market to an American multinational. No, but we're also the doer, the makers, and that's what I really see, that there's an opportunity not just to copycat like, oh, it's a LinkedIn for Korea, but actually say, what if LinkedIn and Facebook and Netflix and Salesforce.com are all kind of open source and brought together in a token economics? Yeah, I would love Cardstack to be a part of it, and hopefully we become the glue that bring all these tools together. But what if we have a stack that is a collaboration with everybody else outside of Silicon Valley? And again, a lot of people in Silicon Valley are very excited about the tools. So even we just eliminate them, that's where I think the energy is going to come from. All the people that was excluded in the economic participation in the last 10 years will come together, and I see that's the value of being a truly international project.
And I think that's really awesome too. And actually, when you think about it, the whole Silicon Valley, the focus on Silicon Valley to process centralization yet again. We need to move those centers of power all over the place. You know, that there's no mistake that there's been a lot of cryptocurrency projects, blockchain projects coming out of East Asia because there are so many just amazing minds here that are ready to develop. They're hungry to develop stuff, and you're giving them the tools to do that.
I hope so, and I think one of the things I really learned in spending the time in the media capital world in 20 years is that branding is important, permission to build a kind of like a movement is important, that type of organizing. I don't want to call it marketing, but the non-tech aspect of how do you organize people. There's a lot of good ideas coming out of the West. There we go, that. And I think if you combine the East and the West two approaches, you're going to get a real solution to the problem of how can it be not copycat, but on the other hand not be centralized. So that blend of those sensibility is hopefully what I bring, because I'm half East, half West in my approach. But there's a lot that can be done in using branding and using this kind of Cardstack as the rallying cry without centralization, but still make it so that, oh, I'm building an app on Cardstack, and suddenly make it easier to sell to a local bank or financial institution. So hope we provide that with what we know about how to really engage people in terms of giving them permission, using branding as one of the key pillars of that approach.
Cool. And final question for you today: what can we expect from Cardstack in 2018?
Yeah, so I think 2080, I love this idea, is not the year of hodl, but it's buildle, right? Like
a buildle, I like it.
Buildle. This is a year where we build stuff, and I think we need to. That it's very easy for everybody to say, hey, let's go organize the market and see where the energies are. But with the support from the community, we have to give them tools so that the tools that they're using every day becomes what people see, not the price, right? So building the tools necessary to demonstrate the value that we see, because we don't need the experience layer. We orchestrate because that's the only way we can participate. But imagine if those tools become that much easier to use. Hopefully Cardstack can be part of that. But I do believe there's a lot of projects making it much easier, and we should tap into that and work together. But once people can see, oh my God, we're organizing something beyond a company, yet the UI is as simple as a single company, matchmaking platform for roommates or something like that, and we can do this in a certain way, and all these use cases that can see. I think that's where the adoption will happen. So we want to build, and I want to get the first group of people who are interested in crypto curious to really use Cardstack, because they were using Coinbase before. So let's take them a little bit closer into the decentralized regime. But I do believe that for us, if we can establish the brand and get ourselves clear as the platform, that if you're an engineer who has not really gotten to crypto, doesn't see how you can one day become doing beautiful apps on iOS and then doing like low-level Ethereum token economics, Cardstack becomes the place where you can use the skill and building application you didn't think was possible. If we can get a critical mass of those development, design, and product people involved in crypto through Cardstack being that kind of adaptive permission layer, I think we're going to have a very vibrant ecosystem of not just benefiting Cardstack community, but because Cardstack is a plugin framework, they're the people that are going to build a UI that unlocks the first, the first use case for many of these blockchain protocols that you see. And that's where I see the exciting part of demonstrating the work that's already been done, right? It's just the wrapper, it's just the finishing touch. It's the paint job on this new car with the cup holders and the start button. But we need it shiny, we need it packaged, we need that bow on top in the Lexus commercial kind of way. We need to have a finished product, and hopefully we can be a part of making that happen.
Really cool, really cool. Cardstack ICO coming to an internet near you very soon, guys, so make sure you go and check it out. Like he said, go check out the website. There's a really cool video on there. It's fun to watch. Go check out the papers, and I'll put a link down below to the website and to the ICO review that I did on it, so you can get some more information on Cardstack. Chris, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Pleasure.